grandchildren to know what it's like to feel the power of God. And I thought there was a lot of places that used to feel that power. That ain't there no more. It's just not there no more. I appreciate the Lord. We'll turn your Bibles to the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. Don't bear with me. I'll have to go to the eye doctor. I've got where I can't see with or without. So I don't know. This is the old prescription I've had for a long time. But the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. It says, "And that knowing the time, that now is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly in the day, not in rioting, drunkenness, not in chambering or wantonness, not in strife and envying, but put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof." Verse 11, it says, "And that knowing that the time that is now, it is high time to awake out of sleep." I thought Brother Sparks texted me yesterday evening and asked me, "Do I have something for tonight?" And it's been a week or two since I preached, and I had some thoughts in my mind and that I thought I might use. But I woke up in the middle of the night last night and with this thought on my mind. And I got up this morning and it's still yet on my mind, thinking about it. And I thought it's now that we need to get busy. Now. There is no other time than now. Whatever you're in the midst of doing, it's at that moment of time that it's got to be done. I remember when David and Audrey were fixing to get married, and he bought that first trailer they had off with Ralph. And my father-in-law had a spot of land he was going to let him put it on. It was growed up. I mean, growed up bad. And me and him and Brother Lester, we got in there with chainsaws and we went to cutting cedar trees. And, they might be a little distance between the tree itself, but they were spread out. And we began to burn that and got the neighbors all upset. And she came over one night and said, "You're going to have to stop this. The smoke is bad." And it was. And I told her, I said, "I'm sorry about this, but we've got to get this cleared off. We have no choice. There's a trailer coming. It's got to be done now." Right. There's certain things in life that just have to be done now. Yes. We can't put it off later. And I thought one thing that is necessary now is making sure that our life is where God wants it to be. Come on. It's necessary now. Yes. I thought there's things that's going on. The Sunday school lesson this morning, talking about the end time. Talking about the Antichrist, and I don't know. There are a lot of people. We was here one morning, one night at church, and there was a fella came in, and he got up and got out here in the middle of the aisle, and he was laying down talking about the man of perdition, looking for the man of perdition. I looked at Brother Steve was here, and I said, "I'm not looking for him. I'm looking for Jesus Christ. He can look for him all he wants to." And I thought we're at a time that we should be looking and expecting the Lord. Right. I thought, but her text says, "And knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep." Yeah. Come on. Now is the time to awake out of sleep. Yeah. Come on. I thought, one of the worst things, worst habits that you can ever develop is called a snooze button. I don't know about you, but if you ever get in the habit of pushing that, you will lay there and oversleep. And there are some times that, you just reach over that other 9 minutes. That's what mine's got, 9 minutes. That other 9 minutes just feels so good. But if you're not careful, 9 turns into 18. And 18 turns into 27. And then next thing you know, you've laid there 36 minutes just hitting that snooze bar.
Come on.
And you jump up, you trying to get yourself ready, and then take off down the road, you're speeding, trying to get to work because you're running late. And I thought it's all because of that one little button.
Come on.
And I thought if I could title this tonight, I'd just simply title it, Don't Hit the Snooze.
Come on.
Because the Bible said it's high time that we awake.
Get up.
It's time to get up. But I'm afraid that the church itself has got into the habit of just hitting that snooze. We'll move later. We'll get in later. But I thought, I'm afraid there's no later left. You know what? And I've got a fellow that works there at work, and I've used him in illustrations before. But he's one of them guys that just can't get it together. I mean, everything he does, it just a mess. He's really just a big kid. And but he don't have no transportation to work, and he rides to work with a guy that likes to get to work early. I'm talking an hour and 15 minutes early. He'll get there, and he likes to smoke, and he'll sit out there, and him and 3 or 4 fellas, and outside into the smoke shack, and they'll drink their coffee, and they'll smoke, and they talk and tell their stories. But the other guy don't like to get up early. But if he wants to ride to work, he has to. And so he'll get up, and he'll come on in with him, and he'll come in the break room, and he'll make him a pillow on the table, and he'll lay his head down, and he'll go right back to sleep. And I thought that, most of the time, whenever they do that, we don't start to work till 6 o'clock. But once we've got our pre-op done and everything, we go in and start to work, getting our equipment put together and things, so we can get the day rolling. And he's there, but yet he's asleep.
Right.
And he could be on the clock.
That's right.
I mean, he could use the money. If anybody could, he could. But he'd rather get that extra sleep. And I thought he's one of the last people, one of the first ones there, but the last one to hit that clock every morning and start to work. And I thought, and all because of the necessity that he thinks he has to have that little bit of extra sleep. And I thought, this might not be helping you. But I thought, it's time that we wake up. We are in a strategic point in the history of the church. The alarm of heaven is ringing out. And we must awaken and respond. Far too many times we have hit the snooze button and said just a few more minutes. And that attitude over those days have just swept over the church. Lord, let me wait just a little while longer. And I thought, but while the church is sleeping, the wickedness and the business of this world is progressing more rapidly. I know Sister Kathy gets some emails sometimes. And Now the End Begins is what the guy titles his web page or whatever. And but he gives you some pretty provocative thoughts sometimes. Get your mind to working it. And he sent her one the other day and about Amazon. And starting this, they're getting ready to open up some retail stores. And there is no clerks. There is no cash registers. There's nothing in that store. You just, when you go in, you've got to be logged in. You walk in, they know that you've walked into the building. You go by, you pick up the items you want. They know that you picked them items up. You walk right back out the door and it's charged your account. I thought things is rapidly taking place where you say, no, I don't think that's the Antichrist. I don't think that's necessarily what it is, but it's leading up to those things. And I thought we look and we see all of those things happening, and I thought the church is asleep. I thought it's time that we wake up and we get busy about the things of God. I thought I look around and we've had some tremendous services here. And I told Brother Steve a while ago, we finally found the mode back here. And I sit right here in this pew, and I guess coming out under that door, sometimes I get so lethargic, Brother Bill. My head starts to hurt, my eyes start burning, and I think, what in the world's wrong with me? But I thought the problem is we can sit there, we can allow those things to overtake us. But just as the mold that was in the building can overtake us, so can the cares of life. They overwhelm us, they overtake us. We get caught up in them, and we forget about everything that's going on around us in the world going on. I thought the thing about the wickedness and the things of this world is it so progresses while people sleep. You know, Jesus had 12 disciples. And he went to the garden to pray. He took 11 of those disciples with him to the garden. Those 11 disciples found it necessary to sleep. But where was that 12th disciple? He was out busy betraying our Savior. How about while the 12, the 11 that were loyal to him could not stay awake, the one that was disloyal was busy about his deeds. And I thought, just as that, so is the enemy after us. I thought we may find ourselves being overtaken and we all the pressures of life and all the things falling in on us. And when we get to the point we feel like, well, I'm just not even going to try. I talked to a guy today, and I didn't talk to him. I texted him, and things going on, and he said, I'm just going to give up. And I said, you can't give up. Just because things aren't going the way you think they ought to doesn't mean you can give up. Because that's what the enemy is desiring. And I thought he comes at every one of us with the same approach. And I thought with the wickedness that is looming in the world today, I thought we that are parents should definitely not be hitting the snooze button.
That's right.
I thought if there's ever a time that we should be awake, it is now. I look back and we talk about technology a lot. And I remember when I was a kid, and we would watch that little cartoon of the Jetsons. That's what it was. And all the little things that they had on that. And I think his name was George. He didn't even have to get out of bed. His bed raised up and put him on his feet, pushed him through, and on a conveyor belt. He was dressed and had his coffee and out the door, and didn't even have to wake up. He had it made. And I thought, but we looked at all of that technology they had. And I thought, no, we ain't got it that far yet. But I thought, how it has progressed.
That's right.
And I thought there's a lot of us that we don't realize it, but we're pretty much there. We're up, we got our coffee, we're in the truck, we're on the road, we're headed to work, and we still haven't got awake yet.
Come on.
Because we're caught up in our things. And I thought, but the thing about it is we should be awake. But with, like I said, with technology, the way it has progressed, and I thought, we had back then we had, if you had a TV, you had, I believe it was 3 channels, 18, 27, 36, and the education channel way down there on 46 somewhere maybe. And I thought, and then if you had WLJC, you had an antenna out there, and you had to turn it toward Baylor to get it, and to pick it up. And I thought, but now things have progressed so much, and they have that. And I thought, and just to push the button to get all these things. You have your telephone that you used to have, and we had one that had a big long cord. Me and Sister Kathy's talking about a while ago, so the mom could walk around the kitchen and do her cooking and stuff while she talked on the phone. That cord would get stretched all over the kitchen. And I thought, now you don't even have to have a cord. I remember when we first got the cordless phone at the house. But now you don't even have to have that. You don't even have a landline. You just got a phone, you pack in your pocket, go wherever you want. All the way things have progressed.
Yes.
And we look at it and we get excited. I don't have a problem with the technology of the world, but I thought the thing about it is it's making us lazy.
Right.
And I thought we get so caught up on those things. We're so accustomed to everything being handed to us and everything given to us. We come to the house of God, we sit down, and we say, move me if you can. But I thought it's time that we wake up and get on fire for God and do the things. God didn't call us to sit. He called us to work for Him. What would have happened if the disciples that He called there, after He he started his ministry, and he went out and he called them 12. What would happen if they just followed after him and never done nothing? What would happen after he ascended back to the Father and he gave them a commission to go into all the world and preach the gospel? What would happen if they said, well, I'll just wait a while. We'll let somebody else, we'll let Peter do it. Peter said, well, I'll let Paul do it. Well, we'll just wait and let James do it. But somebody had to get busy. There wasn't no snoozing going on. They were up and doing the things of God. Like I said, with the wickedness going on in this world, I thought if we've got children, we need to be awake now more than ever. I thought, talking about technology, we got into enough trouble, Brother Bill, as teenagers and young kids without all the technology that we got in the world today. And how our young kids has got it. I thought, Colin can come to the house, and Kinley, she's 2 years old, and she can come to the house, and we've got a tablet there, and little games on it that they like to play. She can grab that tablet, pick it up, flip through, she get them, and she can, she's at the house, she wants to get her mom's phone, she wants to call Sister Kathy, she goes through, she finds a picture, she pushes it, she calls her mama, FaceTime, or whatever she wants. We've got all that technology that even these little kids can get a hold of.
Yeah.
And then we are asleep and not realizing the things that the enemy can do to our children. Hello, it's time that we wake up. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. 10 years ago, if you had told me that I'd be coming to church and bringing my grandson to church because his mom and dad decided to choose a lesser way, I said, no way. That won't happen to me.
Oh, God.
Come on, sir.
There's some others that are coming by themselves. Some others that if you'd said, you'll be coming by yourself and bringing your children, you'd said, no way. But they are.
Come on.
Why? Because that adversary, as a roaring lion, he don't care who he takes down, Sister Marshall. He is out to destroy whoever he can. I thought, well, we're just sitting here getting a snooze bar. 9 more minutes. 9 more minutes. 9 more minutes.
Come on, son.
Time slipping by.
Right.
I thought, this morning as we were singing, and I began to think about time. And I thought, I still got Pawpaw Sparks, and I love him. Don't get me wrong, but he's got kids younger than I am. Sister Marcia is 4 years younger than I am. So whenever I was at his house, if somebody got in trouble, we all got in trouble. I mean, it's just he corrected all the kids. Granny too. I mean, I was there a lot. So and I love them, but they were just in their 40s and 50s. They seemed older to me, but they ain't too old no more, Sister Marcia. I'm almost 50 now. But I was 16 years old when Mom's dad died. And you got to remember, I was 70. He was 71.
Come on.
Had just turned 71 the day before I was born. And I was his first biological grandchild. Gladys had 3 kids, but she was still. But he can make a difference in us. Don't think that. But I was his first biological grandchild, and so he was an old man all my life, and I was 16 years old when he left this world, and I thought my world had come apart. I was at school, and they came to school and they handed me the keys to a car, and they said, Mom came down and brought me the keys to my Uncle Junior's car and said, you need to, when you get out of school, go home, and your papa's had a bad heart attack, we're going to the hospital. And school was over for me. I went and told him, I said, my papa's had a heart attack, me and Michelle and Ike's got to go. I didn't wait till school to be over. We got in the car and we left. And we got home, and just as soon as we could get to the hospital, I was there. But all that happened, and I looked at that and I thought, what's going on here? But I look, and now I can see, my mom's done went on, and I look at heaven, and it holds so much.
Yeah.
Not only are they there, but my Savior's there.
Right.
family members that have went on.
Come on, sir.
And we look forward to that. But I thought, if we're not careful, we will become idle.
Right.
We will be hitting that snooze button.
Tell it. You're
And
telling
we'll
us.
miss out.
Come on, sir.
I thought we're living in a time now where people, I went to a funeral here a while back and listened to a man that was raised in a Pentecostal church. He raised his children in a Pentecostal church. And I sat and I listened to him preach a funeral, and he preached that Calvinistic doctrine. That once you've been saved, you're always saved. And I thought, how in the world did he get off on that? But then I see that his children have went astray. Some of them went bad, way bad.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that he just grabbed hold of that doctrine to hope that his children that went astray because they got saved and his kids is going to make it to heaven. I'm sorry, it don't work that way.
Right.
I thought if we go to sleep and we allow the enemy, he can take our children whether we're awake or we're not. But I thought if we go to sleep and we allow him to come in and take them, whenever we're not doing everything that's necessary to keep them in the house of God, I thought we're living in a time when, like I said, that the adversary is seeking whomever he can
Yes.
to divide.
Right.
And I thought, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be asleep tonight.
Right. Amen.
But I thought, don't mind my pal Paul. I thought I spent a lot of time with him when I was a kid. And, he'd scold me every once in a while. But he never did, that spanking was just out of, that just didn't happen. I'm sure he was capable of it, but he just never did do it. And, but I thought, I remember sitting with him and talking. Brother Harold said he was capable of it. He was a son, I was a grandson. But I remember just being a kid, and I'd sit there in the old kitchen, sit around the hearth. He'd sit there and he'd whittle. And man, he could make a lot of things with a piece of wood and a pocket knife, I'm telling you. And I've got a little hatchet. We had to dress up for school one day as Indians. I told him to make me a Tommy Hawk. Well, it wasn't a Tommy Hawk, it was a hatchet, but I still got it. I have a piece of kindling. But I'd sit there and I'd talk with him, and he would tell me things. And he'd tell me those stories, Brother Bill. And then the next time I'd go, maybe 2 or 3 months, I'd hear that same story again. And I think, Papa's getting old. He don't even remember telling me that. But he knew every time
Yes.
he told me that.
Absolutely.
Because now that I'm Papa,
Uh-huh.
and I thought I tell my grandkids over and over and
Uh-huh.
over. Why? Because I don't want that adversary
Right.
to get on.
Right.
He would tell me about things, and and situations in the family, maybe that somebody married a wife, and sometimes they ain't good wives. There are situations, and he'd tell me, son, you better be careful. When you marry a wife, you make sure you pick one good. Because if you don't, she can throw more out the back door with a teaspoon than you can bring in the front door with a scoop shovel. And I thought I would listen and I think that was so funny. But I realized it's true.
It's true.
And I thought just little words of advice like that he would give me.
Yeah.
And I would listen to those. And then other things. He'd talk about, then he would start talking about the things of the Lord. And he'd tell me how to make sure that I kept my life dedicated to God.
Yeah.
Make sure that I kept God first in my life. And when you do that, all these other things, it's going to fall into place just like they need to be. And I have found that to be true, Brother Danny. Every time that I put God first, everything else falls out just like it should.
That's right.
It's always worked out.
Come on.
Not one time has it ever not worked out. Sure, it might not work out just like I thought it should,
Right.
but yet it worked out because it's the way God planned it.
Right.
I thought, so if you're keeping, if you think you can keep yours out of the hands of the adversary while you're snoozing,
Oh, God.
you're going to be bad mistaken
Right.
because you can't have it. By chance, they might get a hold of something and stay in. And I thought, you better be on fire, keeping them on the altars,
Uh-huh.
keeping them on the altar of God. I thought, there's a lot of things that happens, a lot of ways that you can get sidetrack. Well, we can look at Samson. Samson was dedicated to God. He's just a child. He's a Nazarite. But Samson began to look at the things of this world.
Yes, sir.
And where do we find Samson? He's taking snooze.
Come on.
He's got his head in the lap of the enemy.
Yes.
And he tells the enemy everything about him. He gives the enemy all the spiritual insight about him. Yeah, the locks of his hair and his beard and all that was part of his spirituality. He was a Nazarite. That's where his strength was laying. And he began to begin to get sleepy.
Yeah.
Messing around where he shouldn't be.
Come on.
Laying his head in the lap of the enemy. And revealing to the enemy everything that God had required of him to keep to himself.
Yeah.
And I thought, and we see and we know the outcome of Samson. All because he simply got sleepy. And then we find Saul. Over the book of Samuel, chapter 24. Saul seeking to destroy David. And then Saul, after he goes out and he takes his men, and I read it before church, I forgot how many thousand men, and he went after David. And Bible says he took 3,000 chosen men. And he went to pursue David. But we find Saul, he got tired. He went in and found him a cave. He went to sleep. While he was asleep, David and his men come upon him. David reached in and cut the skirt off the hem of his robe and took the end of it off. David felt smoten because he had touched him. He'd been anointed. But look how easily David could have overcome Saul while he slept.
Come on.
And I thought, while we sleep, the enemy can slip in on us unaware and overcome us. And I thought, I don't know about you tonight, but I think it's time that we wake up.
Yes.
As a church, we wake up.
Yeah.
I don't want you to follow that with me, but we last night we watched a video of Mark Lowry. He has a thing he calls Mondays with Mark, and he interviews different gospel people. And for that, he showed a video clip of the Goodman family, and festival was, and Howard and all of them was singing. They were Church of God. And Vestal had it way up there. And I told Sister Kathy, I said, I knew the women wore their hair high, but I didn't realize how high they did wear it. It just slowly migrated back down. And but I remember Mom going to get in the big updo occasionally, But and I said, well, that was the hairdo of the church. And I said, but unfortunately, when she passed away, she still had the hairdo of the church.
That's
But
right.
it wasn't up.
That's
It
right.
was gone.
Right.
And I thought, if we're not careful, we can get so caught up in things. There ain't nobody saying God walks the dark hills like Vestal Goodman did.
That's right.
I mean, she could sing it,
Right.
but it was professionalism.
Uh-huh.
Got caught up in all those things.
Lost the anointing.
And what happened to the anointing of God?
Right. Lost it.
When we go to sleep, we get caught up in all the things of life,
Right.
and we forget about it. And I like singing. I do. And like I said, if I'm in the truck driving down the road, I've got the radio on, got a CD in or a SD card stuck in the stereo or something with music on. I just like it. But I thought, if we're not careful, we get caught up in those things and miss out
Right.
on the real thing that God is wanting us to do.
Right.
We can go to sleep. I hope I'm not hurt you tonight. But I thought it's time we get business with God.
Right.
It's not no time to be fooling around, because the enemy, the adversary, is seeking. And I thought, I don't know. I'm sure that as a parent, I made mistakes. I mean, I'm human. I mean, I had never been a parent before until my two kids came along. And Brother Steve, I had never had a teenager before until I got teenagers. I mean, there was a lot of people that didn't have teenagers, Brother Harold, that tried to tell me how to raise mine. And then they got teenagers and they realized, whoops, I wasn't as experienced as I thought I was. I wasn't. I made mistakes. But I never dreamed that the enemy would take one of mine to the depths of sin.
That's right.
I never dreamed it would happen, Brother Brad. But it did. He was talking to her neighbor the other day, and she told Sister Kathy, he realized where he's been, and he would like to come back. I know he would, but he's ashamed. They're ashamed of what they've done, but I've got hope they're coming back.
Yes.
They're going to come. They just don't realize it yet, but they're coming back.
Yes, sir.
But I never dreamed that one of mine would go to the depth that they went to. But they did.
Yeah.
And I always wrong the church. They were always here. I mean, Wednesday morning prayer meeting, they were here.
That's right.
I mean, Sister Laura's still here with us, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever we could do, they were here. If it's time to mow the yard, he was here. If it's time to wash the siding, he was here. I mean, whatever was going on, he was here.
Right.
And the enemy still got him. So if we think we can be lax, I think the enemy won't get him.
God.
We're badly fooled.
That's right. Mercy
We are
God.
badly fooled. I don't know about you tonight. I don't be hitting the snooze button. There ain't nothing makes you feel no worse when you get up 30, 40 minutes late
That's right.
because you hit the snooze button. There ain't nothing going to make you feel no worse when you realize you missed it.
Come on.
Because God said, now
Now.
is the time to arise.
Right.
Now, it's high time. Knowing the time, that now it is high time
Yes.
to awake
Right.
out of sleep. As they come against the songs tonight, I hope I've helped you. I don't know about you. But I don't want to be sleeping. I want to be busy doing what God wants me to do. As they get us a song, let's pray.
Come on, it's always Harold.